Welcome to the Senior Hour. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas Polucki. Dr. Jean Dorio and Barbara Cochran are taking a well-earned break, so you're going to have to put up with me for the next hour or so. Today, we're going to be talking about chronic pain. And you're once again, listening to the Senior Hour on KHTS FM 98.1 AM 1220 and hometownstation.com. So today's show, I'd like to focus on chronic pain relief. It's been a passion of mine for the past 40 years, and I'd like to tell you why. I have not even taken an aspirin in the past 40 years, and now I know how crazy that sounds. But with the opioid crisis and a little known fact that even over the counter pain relievers, like the common stuff you could buy at a gas station or in the checkout counter at any supermarket, there's good research to show that they actually increase the frequency and severity of pain. We're going to talk about that a little bit, not to mention the dangerous side effects that even these over-the-counter medications have for the overwhelming majority of people out there. And I'm going to share the 3 best kept secrets in natural pain relief that I've uncovered over the past 40 years. As I said, I haven't even taken an aspirin in 40 years. And again, I am not part of some insane religious cult or anything like that. It actually seems uncomfortable to say something like that. But isn't it just as weird that you are considered crazy if you're not taking some kind of medication on a regular basis? If you don't carry some form of medication on you 24/7? Um, I have come to believe that to be the case, and most people who don't need it feel the same way. I'd like to share with you how so many people don't need constant medication in order to wake up feeling good, have energy throughout the day, go about their business, and just live their lives the way with a certain freedom from that oh, well, I can't go on vacation because I'll miss my pickup for my monthly medications. Now, all that being said, I am not here to bash drugs. You may absolutely need them, and I don't want to come off as some kind of religious zealot or anything. It's just that given the choice between actually being healthy and being dependent on medication that you could potentially not necessarily need for the rest of your life. I think most people would choose not needing to be on medication for the rest of their life. The problem is that most people aren't given that choice. That once they reach a certain point in their life, it's just expected to be on one medication after the other, and trading one symptom for one side effect, and then having to talk to your doctor about changing the medication to get a whole different set of side effects. And it's sad. It's sad what our health care system has become, and what our media system has become, as far as the incredible amount of weight they have in what we see as the advertising, and even inside of the content of many of our forms of entertainment is now just this constant message of another there's a pill for every ill. And I want to let you know that if you're comfortable with that, great, more power to you. But it doesn't have to be like that, and it doesn't have to be that every election that the main topic of conversation, at least in some stage of the debate, is who's going to pay for prescription drugs. Um, that that's okay. It would be better to think, how are we going to start improving the health of our population? How are we going to start making people feel better and not be so dependent on one industry in order to live their lives. So that's the basis of today's show. I hope that is something that may interest you because that's what I'm going to be talking about anyway. So let's try to make the best of it. As I said, 40 years ago, while I was testing for medical school in 10th grade, I was already on 5 prescription medications year round and half a dozen, if not more, over the counters on a daily basis just to deal with symptoms that pretty much never went away. No matter how many pills I took every day, they'd show up again. The next day, they'd be waiting for me. And this was my life. I grew up in a medical family, and yeah, it was already pretty much predetermined that I was going to be a doctor. So, all that machinery was well in progress. And then all of a sudden, I woke up one morning and couldn't turn my head. I couldn't, it wasn't the first time that I dealt with something like that. It was the first time that it wasn't directly related to some kind of crazy injury because, this was before video games when kids' idea of fun was, jumping off houses into piles of leaves. And I'm not kidding about that one. That was a trip to the emergency room. But that's what we did. We ran around like crazy maniacs and caused many broken bones and trips to the emergency room and having to get stitched up here and there too. That's just what kids did back in the 70s. And so I was no different than that. Even though I did have my share of other health problems, I didn't let any of that get in the way of just being a kid and as normal as possible. And so by the time I'm 16, like I said, I'm on 5 prescription medications year round. And having to take handfuls of pills every single day and still waking up with at least half a dozen symptoms, some of them disabling at times, no matter how many pills I took. So I wake up one morning, can't turn my head, and I didn't do anything crazy in the past 48 hours. So that was the first time that happened. And it just so happens that my father ran into a chiropractor. Now I know a good portion of the segment of the listening people listening right now, if you're in your car or if you're at your desk, are going to have a knee-jerk reaction just to that word, and I understand why. I understand that not everybody wants to get their neck twisted and cracked, as many times as they can be convinced to do that for some temporary relief. I never, that's not what I do. so, so let's start there. I never would feel comfortable with that myself, and I would never do that to another person unless I was trying to hurt them. So, just so you know, that those like old school. Like Rambo and Chuck Norris movies. You see that move done when you don't like someone, and I feel about the same way about it. We don't do that. If you've tuned into the show before, you may have, if you watch on Facebook Live, which we are simulcast on, you may have seen me actually treat Barbara live on air. And it's very different. It's just with a tiny little tap, tap, tap here and there. And it can produce some pretty amazing results. And you don't have to twist and crack. If you love that stuff, more power to you. But I just need to let the overwhelming majority of people know that it's not necessary because I know that for a fact, personally and professionally for the past 30 years, teaching at 2 chiropractic colleges and 30 years of excellent results for my patients. I kind of know what I'm talking about when it comes to this. At least this is my one thing that I do feel pretty comfortable about uh, talking about on an expert level, and I'm sometimes paid to do that in court. So um, what that means is you may not have to uh, have lots and lots of pills just to wake up feeling pretty good. You may not have to worry about, well, what am I going to pay for? Am I going to pay for my pills or my food this month? That's one of those political campaign heartstring infomercials out there where the poor lady can't decide whether she's going to buy food or her prescription. And, that kind of forces the question of, oh, well, you shouldn't have to make that choice. I agree, but choice should be you shouldn't need the pills. You should, be healthy. Like so many countries in the world are doing their job without having to spend their money on daily medication. I've also brought up on other shows that for the past 8 years, most of the established countries, about 50 countries, or take, maybe more than that. I can't name them all, but they have been keeping track of who's taking care of their people, who spends more on healthcare, how many babies survive the first year, how long do people live, men and women, and what is their quality of life. A bunch of different statistics have been tracked by a worldwide organization to see, who's doing a job and who should model let's say a global healthcare plan after. Um, United States doesn't rank that well in that grouping. We have not been in the top 50 for some while. There's 50 countries doing a better job at it. And the argument is, well, we have the best healthcare system on the planet, and that may be true because we are so ridiculously over. It attracts the best physicians from around the world to come work here so that they can send money back to wherever their family actually lives, or maybe bring them here and enjoy this lifestyle. But as far as the average person is concerned, we're not doing such a great job at keeping you and I healthy because we may never have access to those very expensive doctors based on our economy right now. So the real benefit is that maybe you wake up with more energy, less side effects, and being able to enjoy your life. Go out and enhance your quality of life is the tagline of this show. Enhance your quality of life. Go out there and be able to spend time with your grandkids, with their pets. Take the dog for a walk without having crippling pain in your feet, your knees, your hips, your low back, your neck, shoulders. It's possible, and it doesn't require, like I said, handfuls of drugs to do that. So most common objection is, well, it's just easier to take a pill, and I get that, but what's the real cost? I lived that way for the first 15 years of my life, and it seemed like it was treating one symptom for a different side effect, and it just went on and on like that. And there's no big reveal on this. It's actually common. Well, this drug, you need to take this for pain relief, but it's going to cause some kind of digestive problem. So we need to give you something for that digestive problem as well. Or sometimes it's handled that way, or sometimes you don't know until it's after the fact and you're dealing with it. Barbara has it on air a couple of times that she was being treated for arthritis, and the treatment actually wound up giving her cancer. I don't think that's a fair trade. So we have a different approach. First is understanding that what is the real cost of that temporary relief that you may so desperately need, and if a medication, whether it be over the counter or even a natural supplement, and hopefully we'll have some time to get to that. But I always run out of before I run out of information. Even a natural supplement or a prescription medication, I'm not against any of it. I just want people to feel better, and if they can do that without having to be on a handful of pills every day, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing for everybody? I know it's for me, and it changed my life so bad. It changed my life so much that I totally changed career paths, and I could have had a easier ride if I did follow through and become a medical doctor. But wasn't in the cards. And because I was qualified, Johns Hopkins was very interested in me. I just found something that I liked a whole lot better. And so for me, I knew what kind of doctor I was going to be. So the number one, I said I was going to share three best secrets. Number one is focus on the cause. A little interesting tidbit. I feed a lot of crows every morning. It's the crowd always grows. I now have about half a dozen ravens, which are beautiful. I mean, they're essentially black eagles. They're huge, especially this time of year. They just look great sitting on my wall. And then as many as 2 dozen crows that I feed every morning, and it's just amazing. I love it. I actually feed them dog food. But that was a crazy little piece of information. But the reason I said that is because I feel like I always have, for the past 40 years, I have a crow sitting on either shoulder, like, in this movies, the angel and the devil. But instead, I've got these two crows, and they're always, cause, 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 right? So I focus on the cause of, instead of, that's important, instead of just focusing on the effect. So the point being, if I ever get to it, is focusing on the cause can be such an amazing tool in your own personal health. Because so much in every act of our lives is distracting us and focusing on the effects and never really getting down to the cause. And it has certainly has effect on care, because nearly every answer to every problem out there is something that is going to an effect aches, pains. Let's just take arthritis for a second. People think, well, arthritis is a chronic disease, and it is, certainly treatable. You can take anti-inflammatories, or some people even need chemotherapy for it. But the arthritis, while considered, very in the system as a disease process, it's often not a cause. It's an effect. It's an effect of either something wrong in your immune system, or your digestive system, or your musculoskeletal system, that is causing the joints to break down in a way that they're not necessarily made for. I prefer to focus on the cause and try to track that down, and not just skim the surface, look at, okay, well, what is the effect? And let's just keep treating that effect, because when we get back for the break, I'll tell you how that is just chasing your tail, and guarantees a lifetime of continuous putting out fires, instead of actually building the life that you deserve and you work for every single day. You're listening to the Senior Hour on KHTS FM 98.1 AM 1220 and hometownstation.com. You're listening to the Senior Hour on KHTS FM 98.1 AM 1220 and hometownstation.com. I'm your host today, Dr. Thomas Polucki. I'm sitting in for Gene and Barbara, who are taking a well-earned break. And we're talking about most of us know about, and that's chronic pain. And in the first segment, I covered some of this. Just a quick recap. It may not be necessary to take handfuls of pills every day to deal with your pain. And most people don't even realize that just because you can buy something at a gas station, something like I can't use the brand names because I don't want to be sued, but products that contain aspirin or acetaminophen or ibuprofen, well, I can get at a gas station. I mean, it must be safe. I'm a prescription for it. They don't realize that thousands of people die every year from taking it as directed, not intentionally overloading or doing anything crazy with it. And 10 times that wind up with a trip to the emergency room. They just don't believe that that's true, but it's not a secret. The information out there, it's just not, the leading news story every night for whatever reason. But I'd like to talk to you about the 3 best kept secrets on natural pain relief. It's been patched for the 40 years. I am an absolute egghead geek, and it's personal. It's personal. I found the hard way, because I was on 5 prescription medications year-round, handfuls of anti-inflammatory and other over-the-counter medications on a daily basis, and daily symptoms, sometimes escalating into actual medical emergencies. But when I was testing for Johns Hopkins Medical School, too much pressure there in 10th grade, I discovered something completely different, and it changed the course of my life. And I have been living without drugs of any kind now for 40 years. So I know a thing or two about this. It's not just theory. It's not just some kind of sales pitch or anything like that. That's how I live my life on a daily basis. And I'm telling you right now, it's possible. I know this for a fact. I'm not telling anybody stop taking any prescribed medications. Of course, no one would be that crazy. But I want to let you know that if you are not happy with being even just, let's say, a leaf every day, there are options out there. Unfortunately, you're not going to hear about it on your TV show. You're not going to hear about it on the news. You're not going to hear about it in much anywhere else except for somewhere special like KHTS Senior Hour. And I had the opportunity, thanks to my good friends Carl and Jerry Sarati Coleman, to have this platform and share this kind of information to the people who need it the most, the people who may be in daily chronic pain, and maybe some of them aren't thrilled with the prospect of trading a symptom for a side effect on an ongoing, never-ending basis. So I promise that my three best-kept secrets of natural pain relief. Number one was focus on the cause. And that's important because if you just treat the symptoms, you never get to the real answer, and you're just going to keep treating symptom after symptom, symptom after symptom. And with all that's just consent. No doctor recommends that. I just treat symptoms. They do all the tests, they find the problem, and they prescribe me the right medication. Maybe that's a distinct possibility, but from a functional point of view, and this is number two best kept secret, from a functional point of view, we dive a little bit deeper than the common diagnosis, which lets you stick with the theme that we started in the first segment, arthritis. Arthritis is a diagnosis, is a recognized disease, is a treatable service, but in any doctor's office, it may not be the cause. It may just be a symptom. The real cause may be something in your digestive system. It may be something in the way your muscles pull on a joint. It may be something in the joint itself. Maybe a structural alignment issue in the joint. It's some kind of abnormal stress on that joint, whether it be or physical, that is causing the joint to break down and swirling. So the real benefit of looking past the answer is, oh, you have pain in your joint. Oh, it's hot. Oh, it hurts when you move it. Okay, sorry. Here's some anti-inflammatory to deal with that. Oh, it's not good enough. We're going to put you on a stronger anti-inflammatory. Oh, that's not good enough. We're going to stick to a rheumatologist and put you on some kind of chemotherapy, because the trade-offs for the side effect get increasingly worse in that. Some people are fine with that and they trust that, and I'm not about to change anyone who wants that. That's okay. Really, it's none of my business. But people who don't want that, that's who I don't know that there is an option. There's an option there. And I use the house on fire analogy for this. So when you focus on function, you're not going around and batteries have the smoke detectors. That's the way I look at symptoms. But the pain is there for a reason. It's an alarm. And just taking it out of the smoke detector is not a great strategy as far as I'm concerned. So the real issue is, first of all, the fire. What is the real cause? And extinguish the fire. And then you need to start cleaning up the damage from the fire and from whatever was called putting out fire, so to speak. And so detoxification, enhancing and optimizing detoxification pathways, because there may be some damage in the digestive tract, there may be some damage in the liver, in the kidneys, in the intestines, just from over-the-counter inflammatory use as directed. So we have to clean up that damage, repair some of that, clean the system, optimize your natural detoxification processes that pretty much every anti-inflammatory has in a very bad way. And give your body, rebuild the damage from the fire, put out the fire, clean up damage, and then start rebuilding. And the rebuild process, you give the raw materials. You got to give your body quality nutrition. Sometimes that can be done with food alone, depending on how good your diet is or isn't. Especially, I know as we get older, it gets more and more to convenience over, all this times. I still cook from scratch nearly everything, and I understand convenience. Occasionally I do pop a box in the microwave, but I know that is convenience over quality, and you got to make that call. Know that you do, because when you do, I know what supplements to take in order to mitigate that convenience or quality. And I have patients come in because part of my practice, I don't ever twist or crack anybody, but part of my practice is, okay, so you have these aches and pains. I understand. You're willing to make some changes on your diet. By the way, do you take supplements? And overwhelmingly, the answer, well, yeah. And I'm like, okay, would you mind bringing them in so I can take a look at them? If there's any way that we can do a better job at it, I'd like the opportunity to show you, what that's all about. And it's a lot of times people come in with a shopping bag full of supplements, and I ask, okay, what's this one for? And they don't even know. Somebody tell them. Nobody explains it. They just sold on something from somebody who cares. And maybe they don't. It's okay. but all of a sudden they have chock full of stuff that they don't even know they're taking for. And more often than not, we're able to consolidate, we're able to isolate, we're able to do a better job even with a much higher quality product, give them some because they're taking a bunch of stuff that doesn't work and even appropriate for them or duplicated in many different products. So that's the gist of putting out the fire, cleaning up damage from the fire, and then replacing, repairing, rebuilding with the for nutrition. Number three, biggest problem out there is I can't even read my own. We're going to skip number three for right now. So the key is to save money and, if at all possible, free up from having to take medications every day that may or may not be helping. That's not what this is about. But it certainly, if you want an option to not have to take pills every day, the answer is focusing on taking care of yourself, doing self-care, eating right, and getting enough sleep, and drinking enough water, and doing some moderate exercise every day. And I understand that some people are not going to necessarily be running. Maybe walking isn't even an option for everyone, but some moderate exercise. I used to teach classes at senior facilities. And some people couldn't even get out of the wheelchair. I got them 20 minutes of moderate exercise. It can be done. And there's a lot of great information out there. You can YouTube functional exercises and custom tailored to your own individual unique situation. And we can help you do that. The second largest objection that I get is my Medicare going to pay for that? I don't know. Because there's a lot of different options in Medicare, and some people have from government issues. People's Medicare benefits are managed by some kind of other organization. So I'm not an insurance expert by any means, but just the savings that we have for things like vitamins, which are not covered by Medicare, often cover, and not just the savings financially, the real cost of having to deal with all of that and still wake up in pain every morning and not have the energy to go out and take the dog for the walk or play with your grandchildren. And what really gets my dirty. I'm dirty. So sometimes it comes out, and what really gets that rawness out of me is people are often preyed on by these gads that they see either on late night TV or in their feed of their social media that really just predatory and don't give the that they're looking for. So what I've done is create a free consultation. The consultation should ever cover Medicare, so I don't have to worry about breaking any of those lists. There's no obligation for care, but people come in and talk to someone who's not going to try to sell them some new pill or some gadget. Just try to get better. And natural without any medication or drug interventions, so that you can see for yourself, may save you a whole lot of money, but more importantly, to enjoy your life in retirement and be able to have that quality time with friends and family for as long as we have to, not have to trade one side of it for a symptom on an ongoing basis. So, the thing is, I never know where the law is going, so we may have to take this thing down. Without any notice whatsoever. But right now, if you call the office 661-753-9340 and say that get low as a speak number 61753-9340, we'll see what we can do to give the consultation and maybe give you free back. You're listening to Senior Hour, KHTS FM 98.1 AM 12:1 and Hometown Station. Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet? One drop after another, continuing numbness, tingling, burning pain, lungs troubles, decreased quality of life? Are you experimenting with like Neurontin, gabapentin, Cymbalta with limited success and your doctor telling you just have to live with it? My name is Dr. Thomas Polucki, host of Better with Dr. Lee and founder of Neuropathy Dr. X. I'm here to tell you that there is now a innovative natural solution to your neuropathy right in Santa Clarita, a solution that addresses the underlying cause. I'm proud to say that we have an 80% to 97% success rate if neuropathy sufferers in getting their lives back. I'd like to invite you to our next seminar, and we'll teach you how to reverse the condition that affects over 50 million Americans today. To reserve your spot now, call 753-9340. This is for seminar, but seems limited, so call 753-9340.
If you're into physical therapy, check out Physical Therapy. Owen therapist Adam Laraway has the latest cutting-edge technology, introducing the Newbie, ultimate neuromuscular re-education. The Newbie can be healed 7% faster and was FDA cleared in September 2017. The Newbie uses pulse direct current, which mimics the same neurological signals the brain uses and allows the therapist to identify the signals with 100% accuracy. We can even help improve your sleep. issues with neck, knee, and shoulder pain, sciatica, and arthritis. It can accelerate your fitness progress, which means the results in less seconds. Get stronger quicker. Why the same technology that Dodger and LA Clippers use? Focus is located on each online in Newhall. Call 255-4205. Go online at focustherapyscv.com.
To extreme, that the Los Angeles News called Democrat Assembly and professional protester Pilar Chiava. They wrote that Chiava's history is for the cliff from the bullsman only drive Sacramento to the far left, right off a cliff. We have a better option. Someone who is getting results and solving our problem. That's Suzette Alvarez.
I grew up in San Fernando Valley, hanging around Dad's job. But right now, LA doesn't feel home. Homelessness, violent crime, and rising costs are beating us. California has failed us. It's time to declare homelessness a state of emergency. The passionate thing to do is we already know work. Keep violent criminals behind bars, alert taxes, care for the homeless, and clear our streets. I'm Suzette Alvarez, and I'm working to fix it.
Paid for by Suzette Alvarez for Assembly 22.
It's no other station I've ever listened to. Great.
Your hometown station.
You listen to the Senior Hour, KHTS FM 90.1 AM 1220 and station.com. I'm your host for the day, Dr. Gene Dorio and Barbara Cochran are taking a well-earned break. I've been talking about chronic pain, and more importantly, natural pain relief options out there that you're not going to get anywhere else. You're certainly not going to see it in the headline news or in any magazine like that, because just like that. That has been the past 40 years. In the first 2 minutes, quick recap, as we are down to the last few minutes of the show. Doesn't have to be like that. Found out 40 years ago while testing for medical school that there is an option outside of pulling handfuls of pills every day and still having symptoms and often treating worse side effects for your current symptom, just revolving towards. That's how the first 15 years of my life and found something completely different. And now I have a very different way of helping people find lasting relief with that drug or surgery. And it's what I dedicated the past 40 years to. The top 3 secrets. So you get all the juicy stuff in a very quick synopsis is focus on the cause of the problem, not just treating the effects of a problem. And that sounds oversimplified, but it really is the best strategy. Symptom management, taking pain relief, pain management, thinking that, you can't do anything about arthritis. Arthritis is an incurable chronic disease that there's no answer to. I just have to take this medication. Well, in some cases, I'm sure that's true, but not for me. And it's not for all my patients. There is a possibility out there. I'm not saying it's right for everybody. There's no one-size-fits-all answer to any condition out there, especially chronic pain. But there is a way to deal with things naturally and address them from a functional point of view, restoring function, instead of just constantly trying to cover up your warning signs about the problem. I think is a better strategy. If that's a thing for you, if you're interested in that kind of a process, or for whatever reason you're not so interested in taking more and more medication all the time, we can help. And I'd like to see what we can do for you. If nothing else, put you on the right path to an appropriate self-care program. Kind of is going to be the best for you instead of just trial and error on fixing, to try to the most recent fad. Some of them are just not okay for the senior population, and it may actually cause you some very serious health issues if you adopt any of these diets without some professional help about what are the nutritional ramifications. You may benefit from some supplement, and we may have a more economical answer using high quality supplement instead of finding the best bargain for bulk. There's a difference in that too. So it's diet, it's nutrition, it's really paying attention to how you sleep, when you sleep, and getting some moderate exercise. Literally, even if you can't walk, you can do 20 minutes of moderate exercise, and we can show you how. So my call to you is give me a call, 661-753-9340. Let's schedule you for a free consultation. It's never covered by Medicare. There's no obligation for further care. The number once again is 661-753-9340. Now, I can't get into all the results that I've had, but you can Google me, Dr. Polucki, and you can't share, that information is protected by law, but people write testimonials for me all the time. I can take a look at my Google reviews, and I can't get into how, we may be able to help you. There's no one-fits-all answer. Even if it's going to give advice on how to take care of yourself better at home, I'm happy to do that for you. Again, no obligation for any of the treatment. 661-753-9340 is the way you get hold of me. You've been listening to Senior Hour on KHTS at 98.1 and your casting talk.